जय। आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय। श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। सबको इसी तरह a very warm, very cordial welcome is extended to each and everyone who've joined us this morning physically here at the Mandir on Todd Street, San Fernando. We are blessed with a very beautiful, sunshiny morning today, and we give thanks to Bhagwan for those blessings. For those of you who are joining us virtually this morning on YouTube or on Facebook, Shubh Swagatam, we extend warm welcome to you as well. May Bhagwan continue to bless us all as we enjoy His grace and His glory. This morning, I invite us all, as we engage in invocation mantras, to gaze at the murtis before us. Those of you who are at home, looking on online, and who may be in your puja rooms, to gaze at that form of Bhagwan that you find most endearing, most appealing to you. And for those of you who are here, I invite you to stand as we assume that position of reverence, that prayerful attitude and demeanor. And let us immerse ourselves in the glory that is Prabhu. Let us seek His continued blessing, His grace and guidance, as together now we engage in invocation mantra. Hari Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswate Namaha. Om Sri Guru Charan Kamalebhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvaram Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swadha Namostute. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagatguru. Nagindraharaya Trilochanaya Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shuddhaya Digambaragaya Tasmai Nakara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandra Mabhedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Namaha. Om Manojavam Marutatulia Vegyam Jetindriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanadevatamukam Shri Ramadutam Shirshi Namami. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Bheti everyone, resume your seats as together we join in Kirtan as we glorify Bhagwan.
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे. 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 गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे. गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे. नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे. नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे. डमरू बजावत शंकर भी आए. डमरू बजावत शंकर भी आए. संग में आए पार्वती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे. संग में आए पार्वती आनंद राजे संग में आए सरस्वती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
संग में आए सरस्वती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
राम भी आए लक्ष्मण भी आए।
राम भी आए लक्ष्मण भी आए।
संग में आए सीता सती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
संग में आए सीता सती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
बंसी बजावत कृष्ण भी आए।
बंसी बजावत कृष्ण भी आए।
संग में आए राधा रानी आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
संग में आए राधा रानी आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
संकट मोचन बजरंगी आए।
संकट मोचन बजरंगी आए।
भक्ति के संग देने शक्ति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
भक्ति के संग देने शक्ति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
नाचत आए गणपति 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 आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे।
प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय। We continue as we engage in kirtan, as we glorify Bhagwan through the medium of kirtan, and as we do so, let us clap, let us sing lustily as we've been doing, and let us immerse ourselves in the glory of Bhagwan.
We join in reciting the mantras of the Shiv Chalisa. Jai Ganesh Girija Suvan Mangal Mool Sujan Kahat Ayodhya Das Tum Dehu Abhay Vardhan Jai Girijapati Deen Dayala Sada Karat Santan Pratipala Bal Chandama Sohat Niki Kanan Kundal Nag Bhaniki Ang Gaur Shir Ganga Bahai Mund Mal Tanchar Aghlai वस्त्र खाल कंबर सोहे सभी को देखना मुनि मोहे मैं न मातु की होवे दुलारी वाम अंग सोहत जभी न्यारी कर त्रिशूल सोहत छवि भारी करत सना शत्रुन क्षयकारी नंदी गणेश
सुहीता कैसी सागर मध्य कमल है जैसे कार्तिक श्याम और गणराम या छवि को कहीं जात न खाओ हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर 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 जय शंकर ओम हर हर जीवन जब ही जाय पुकारा तब ही दुख प्रभु आप निवारा किया उपद्रव तारक भारी देवन सब मिले तुम ही जुहारी तुरत सदन आप पधारो लवनी वेश महामारी गिरायो आप जलंधर असुर संहारा सुयश तुम्हार विदित संसारा त्रिपुरासुर सन युद्ध मचाई सब ही कृपा कर लीन बजाई किया तपहि भागीरथ भारी पूर्व प्रतिज्ञाता सुपुरारी धनी न महल तुम सब कोई नारी सेवक स्तुति करत सदाई वेद नाम महिमा तब गाई अखत अनादि भेद नहीं पाई हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर 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 जय शंकर ओम हर हर प्रगट उधति माधन में ज्वाला जरे सुरासुर भय विहाला कीन दया तहकारी सहाई नीलकंठ तब नाम कहाई पूजन रामचंद्र जप गीता जीत के रंग विभीषण दीना सहस कमल में हो रहे धारी कीन्ह परीक्षा तब ही पुरारी एक कमल प्रभु राखे उजोई कमल नयन पूजन चह सोई कठिन भक्ति देखी प्रभु शंकर भय प्रसन्न थे चितवर जय 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 अनंत अविनाशी करत कृपा सबके घरवासी सकल नित मोहि सदावे ब्रह्म हृदय रही मोहि चैन न आवे हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर 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 जय शंकर ओम हर हर त्राहि त्राहि में नाथ पुकारो यही अवसर मुहियान उबारो ले त्रिशूल शत्रुन को मारो संगत से मोहियान उबारो मात पिता भ्राता सब होई संगत में पूजत नहीं कोई स्वामी एक है आस तुम्हारी आया हरहु अब संकट भारी धन निर्धन को देत सधाई जो कोई जाचे सो फल पाई स्तुति कही विधि करहु तुम्हारी क्षमहु नाथ बचूक हमारी शंकर हो संकट की नाशन विघ्न विनाशन मंगल कारण योगी यति मुनि ध्यान लगावे शारद नारद शीश नवावे हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर 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 जय शंकर ओम हर हर
कहत अयोध्या आस तुम्हारी, जानी सकल दुख हरहु हमारी। जय 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 त्रिपुरारी, आए हैं न हम शरण तुम्हारी। हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर हर, हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर हर, हर हर जय शंकर ओम हर हर। नित्य नेम करि प्राप्त ही, पाठ करे चालीस। तुम मेरी मानो कामना, पूर्ण करो जगदीश। मत्सर च्युति हेमंत ऋतु, संवत 64 जान। स्तुति 40 शिव ही, पूर्ण की न कल्याण।
प्रेम से बोलिए उमापति महादेव की जय। जय सीताराम। Let me once more extend a very warm welcome to everyone this morning who've made that conscious decision to attend the Mandir, either physically or virtually. And indeed, the merit to be derived from coming together in our devotional exercises in puja in the manner in which we do is indeed very great. Shiv Chalisa having been sung and chanted during this most auspicious period of Shravan, where propitiating Shankar Bhagwan is highly recommended, particularly for those who are able to on a Monday as you perform your puja in your homes, or if you have the good fortune of attending various other celebrations and observances. Use the opportunity to continue to strengthen and fortify yourselves and seek the blessings of that great Mahadev. As we're well aware, this coming week marks a very significant festival, and that is on Thursday we observe on the Purnima, the festival of Raksha Bandhan. Raksha Bandhan is that festival that we are all familiar with, and I've noticed particularly this year the blitz on the media about various puja stores having all that you need for Raksha Bandhan, and I won't call the names of the puja stores, but it seems to be taking on to a different level in terms of the commercialization of that festival. And there's a good and there's a negative in it. The negative is the loss of the significance of it to the commercial sway. The positive part of it is the increased awareness that is now being brought about to all and sundry, not only persons of our tradition, but persons nationally who may not be part of our tradition. They're becoming more and more aware of it. And that is interesting because I want to speak to Raksha Bandhan this morning and also touch a little bit about an event that occurred last week, and for persons who were fortunate enough to journey to the Center of Excellence and to see that very global figure now known as Sadhguru. And I was mentioning to my wife that even the pronunciation of Sadhguru has become something that I smile about, because there was one person on radio talking about, well, have you all gone to see Sadhguru? So I was wondering, who is the Sadhguru, right? But I understand what he was trying to say. And it is very significant that Sadhguru would attend Trinidad and Tobago. And we're not singular in that respect, because immediately from here, I think he went to Ghana and met with the president, Dr. Ali, in Ghana and so on, and there was some discussion. But we'll speak about both a little bit. I was not fortunate to be there. I know some persons, I won't call names, had that good fortune. But what the images that I saw was impressive from the point of view of the demographic of the persons attending. And the demographic of the persons attending that session was a replica of our society in Trinidad and Tobago. It covered both genders, and I'm still saying both genders, that's where I'm sticking with. Both genders. It covered all age brackets, and it covered nearly every ethnicity. And one of the questions posed by a young lady by the name of Mickey that I was fortunate to hear was about that whole aspect of how can a person make a difference given what he was speaking about in terms of save soil. And I will just touch on his comment shortly. What was bemusing to me, however, is that you can't get away from Trinis, because coming down to the end when he wanted to engage in a meditation session, inevitably you had Trinis walking around in the back talking, and the gentleman is there, Sadhguru is saying, can you please stand still, can you find a seat, and repeatedly saying it over and over again until he got to the point and saying, volunteers, I don't think they're understanding my language. Could you please share that information with them? And that's Chinese for you. We don't listen until sometimes we're embarrassed into listening. So think about those things, Raksha Bandhan and the visit of Sadhguru, and they seem very different in outlook. Raksha Bandhan is a festival that is observed every year. It finds its genesis in our scriptures. And one of the kathas that we are very familiar with would have been the instance when Indradev was being defeated in battle. He lost his kingdom, lost most of his army, and he was being defeated in battle. And his consort, his wife, Sachi Devi, was very worried about his well-being. And so, as most persons who are concerned about the welfare of their loved ones would do, and I know that I'm not just singling it out to husbands and wives, persons who are concerned about the welfare of their loved ones, she turned to the Lord and she turned in prayer. And she sought the guidance and the blessing and the intervention of Vishnu Bhagwan. So she approached him, indicating what the difficulty was and what the challenge was. And Vishnu Bhagwan, Antaryami, he is all-powerful, all-knowing. What did he do? He blessed that thread and he gave it to Sachi Devi, and she said, tie this on the hand of your Lord and he will be protected, he'll be victorious. And the Katha goes on to say that Sachi Devi did just that. She followed the dictates of Bhagwan. And she tied that Rakhi on the hand of Indradev. And as they say, the rest is history. He was successful. He defeated the Asuras, the Rakshas, and he was once more restored to his kingdom. In other words, that Raksha, that Rakhi, offered that protection. And there are many other examples that we are told involving Krishna Bhagwan and others, where that Rakhi is tied on the hand of someone who is loved, and that has been extended now to brothers and sisters particularly. And Raksha Bandhan, as we all very much aware, is that bond of protection. So just by way of a refresher, because it only happens once a year, what do we do on that day? So in our tradition, it is said that our sisters would, prior to that day, so not Thursday coming, but prior to Thursday, would develop the mindset that Raksha Bandhan is approaching. Brothers would also develop that mindset, unfortunately, from the point of view of expectation, how much Rakhi are going to have on my hand, and how it will look, and, oh God, I have to buy gifts for my sister, and that kind of thing. But there's that mental awareness that the festival is approaching, so that's important. Then there's the preparation, whether it is to buy or purchase the Rakhi, which is now the norm, or what used to be the tradition, which was you made it. You actually sat and you made the Rakhi that you would offer. Yes? And on the day itself, the usual daily Nitya Karma, you get up, you perform your ablutions and so on, you do your puja. But in doing your puja, you also seek the blessings of God for that Rakhi to be blessed. That is an integral part. It shouldn't be that when you're now approaching your brother, you're pulling it out of the plastic wrap and so on, right? It should be invoked with prayer and charged with prayer before the event, before the visit. And you prepare your thali with your nice deer and your flowers and something sumptuous to offer by way of mithai or something like that, right? And you then journey to your brother's place, and you then engage in that hospitality and that exchange of love and honor that is engaged in. And what does that traditionally mean? It means that the brother is invited to sit facing in an easterly direction. A flower is placed on the head of the brother, or mala. You offer chandan or tilak on his forehead. You offer arati. And then you tie the rakhi on his hand, his right wrist. And while you are doing that, you are praying in your own way for the protection of your brother, that your brother would be protected. And once that is complete, you offer to him something sweet, whether it is some nice mithai that you've prepared, or as has become the norm now, a piece of Cadbury chocolate. But again, you want to protect your brother not only from externalities, but in offering what you have prepared or you have acquired, you're not giving a whole big laddu in the mouth, right? Just a little bit, because you need to be aware of his well-being in terms of health. And then when that is done, there's that embrace that takes place between the brother and sister. And then traditionally, the brother would offer a gift to the sister and would also pledge his love, his affection, and his bond of his protection for his sister. And so there's that reciprocity that exists between the parties in renewing that bond. There are many challenges with that, obviously, now. One would be, because the pandemic is still with us, persons may not be able to go to the other and engage in that way because of that concern of spreading this virus, which is still very, very much with us. Don't mistake that. And also there's the challenge sometimes because of geographical location. Persons are abroad. They're in different places. You can't go. It may very well be that floodwaters are around on a Thursday and you can't go. But you find the best way that you can to convey that sentiment. And if you can't on the day itself, which is the Purnima, then there's nothing that says you can't do it on another day. The point is the renewal of that bond. And our scriptures and so on have been so very accommodating that it is recognized that this tradition and practice, as has been gleaned from the examples themselves, are not confined to brother and sister alone, but to anybody that you view in that context, to anybody that you view as a brother, that you view as a sister, that you view as a loved one, you can perform the same ceremony and the same ritual. Now, what is the effect of that? The effect of that is to give us a moment to pause from our hectic lifestyle, to recognize that we are not islands in this world. We do not and cannot stand alone. We are persons who exist and thrive on human interaction, unless we are very, very, very elevated. And I beg to say, I am not, and I don't know many people who fit that description. So we thrive on that human interaction. But the benefit of that human interaction must come from positive and uplifting interaction. We do not thrive from negative interactions, right? We do not thrive from negative interactions. And just think about sometimes when there's an annoyance or grievance with somebody, there's, as you would say, that coldness, and sometimes that escalates into words and actions and so on that make things very uncomfortable, very difficult, very toxic. That is not an environment to be in. And so festivals like this one, Bhai Dooj, that comes after Diwali and so on, give us opportunities to renew those bonds with persons that we consider. Our scriptures also tell us of the examples where persons of different geography, persons of different ethnicities, persons even of different political ideologies have exchanged this tradition and have tied the Rakhi on one another. And so the examples are there for us. This tradition is one that is universal and all-encompassing in nature. It offers that bond of protection, that bond between individuals, and that bond is what is significant. So as we approach Thursday, let us think about the need for that bond with our loved ones and how we can enrich that bond, how we can ensure that that bond that we want to have with one another is strengthened and is preserved, and that we don't do things to the detriment of that bond. And what do I mean? I mean, think about relationships that are important to you, whether it is a relationship with your spouse, with your parent, with your children, with your peers. Most importantly, your relationship with God. And it is very difficult, if not impossible, for us to enjoy a relationship with God if we are unable to enjoy a relationship with those that we physically come into contact with. And that is the beauty of our Dharma. It teaches us in a very graduated way about physical relationships and the need to engender those, to preserve those, and indeed to enrich those relationships. And in so doing, we are able to enjoy that relationship with God. Now, how does that in the world mesh with Sadhguru's visit and his message? And what is his message? His latest message, among other things, is save soil. I must admit, when I first heard it, I was like, what? Save soil? What's that? When I first heard the message. And as I delved into the message, I understood and I appreciated, and now I recognize the importance of his message. Think about when you perform puja. Think about the platform upon which puja is performed, namely a bedi, and think about all of the things that you require in order to perform puja. Just think about that. Think about why you perform puja and what is the benefit of performing puja. And there are many deep discussions and many steps we could go through, but it is really for us to become aware of who we are, to understand the philosophy, the deep philosophy that's contained in our scriptures, and by the act of doing, to appreciate that philosophy. So we're not only hearing or seeing, we are actually doing. And in so doing, to uplift ourselves and to elevate ourselves to that oneness of Bhagwan. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Save soil, therefore, invites all of us to become aware of our inextricable link with God in his manifestations, and in particularly that manifestation that we all come from, enjoy, depend upon, and benefit from, and that is the soil. Dharti Mata, as we would say. Now, if Sadhguru were going to talk about Dharti Mata and Dharti Mata Puja, 3/4 of the world not going to pay much attention. 3/4 of Hindus would not pay attention either. So he came about an innovative way of relaying this very important message. Quite simply, save soil. So in his own inimitable style, he has created a brand and a message that appeals to everyone. Think about Raksha Bandhan. It is a festival that should appeal to everyone. And he's recognizing that we must recognize and appreciate that we enjoy a relationship with Bhagwan in the form of the soil. So many of us thinking, I do enjoy a relationship with that. How many of us go to the market now and we complain about the price of vegetables? Where are the vegetables coming from? Well, there's hydroponics and so on, yes. But where are the salient elements coming from? How many of us go to the groceries now and say we can't get the food that we would like to consume? The varieties are no longer there. How many of us go out into the yard and we run away after 2 minutes? Nah, boy, I can't take that sun, nah. It's too hot. I need the air-conditioned environment. How many of us think now, wait, look at the rain. I never experienced so much rain before. There's real heavy rain. Look at how much flooding. We're all aware of these things. They're kind of hovering around in our mind, but we're not really thinking in the way in which we should. And so Sadhguru is trying to increase that awareness globally. There have been attempts in the past, and I'm sure there'll be attempts in the future. There was a young girl, I forget her name, was it from Sweden? Yes. I think she was 15 or 14 years old at the time that she started, trying to increase the awareness of world leaders about the dangers that are occurring now because of climate change. And is trying to generate that movement and that emotion and that awareness. And so Sadhguru is trying to do the same thing. But because of his global reach, he's having an impact. He's known in India. He's known in the United States, where he traverses on a motorcycle. And my wife is asking me, why does man driving around on a motorcycle? I say, well, he probably enjoys a motorcycle. So that doesn't mean to say that the important things that you must do shouldn't bring some sense of enjoyment. But more than that, if you are Swami, clothed in saffron robes, walking around with a dand, how many people in the States taking you on? But jump on a Harley and try driving around the States now. Oh yes, everybody away now. What kind of Swami is this boy? It was as Swami Vivekananda when he went into the World Congress of Religions, the impact he made then. So, Sadhguru is trying to have a significant impact. Now, so he's come to various Caribbean territories. He went to Barbados before, he went to Guyana before, he came to Trinidad and Tobago now, he went to Guyana again. And the president of Guyana there made an offer to him that I'm going to give you tracts of land so that your organization can run a pilot project to convey from a visual and a doing way the lesson or the teachings that you are trying to convey. What a very beautiful gesture. People might say, well, yeah, Guyana have plenty of land, so he could afford to do that. That's not the point. What Sadhguru is trying to do, we are seeing, is actually occurring. And what do you think that is? It is the same thing like the commercials for Raksha Bandhan. He is increasing awareness. He is increasing awareness. So when that young girl in the Center of Excellence asked, her name was Mickey, and I was looking online at the time, what can we do as individuals for this gigantic cause? The salient response of Sadhguru was, you can increase awareness. You can increase awareness. And every one of us has the ability to do that. If one, we recognize the importance of the message. Two, we recognize the importance of it not only for ourselves, but for all of those that we are associated with now. And most importantly, we recognize it for our future generations. We will die and go, you know. I'm already past the 50 mark, so I'm more there than here. But the young ones, like little Isha there who just walked in, coincidental with the Isha Foundation. Youngs like those, when these young ones have their own children, Ajay, when you become a father, well, should I start with Mitra before that, right? But I don't want to put any problems there. Ambika and Amrita and Vrishni and Vasudha, when their children now seek to inhabit this place that we call home, what kind of place are we leaving them? What kind of place are we leaving for them? Because this is the only place that we all have that is home. So he's trying to convey an awareness and a message for each and every one of us, and this is what we could do. So you ask yourselves, well, how can I increase the organic content of soil? What do we do? What are the deliverables that are associated with that great mission? Well, it first starts with awareness. We have to recognize that what we put in is what we're going to get out. You know, they have a saying in industry, garbage in, garbage out. So if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. Think about things that you eat. If you are going to engage in using a lot of pesticides, weedicides, and things like that, think about what you're consuming as the end product. It's not good. It's not good. And therefore, I remember in North America, and my wife will bear me out with this, when you go to the markets and the supermarkets there, you've seen some big bell peppers and some big mushrooms and big this. You know, it gets so big. All kind of chemicals plugging in that. I wouldn't go to persons who eat meat products. I'll invite you to think about what they plug into that before they have the end product, and how very unhealthy it is. And do you notice now in those developed countries, whereas we in Trinidad and Tobago long ago, people had their own backyard garden, you plant your little green fig, you have 2 head of lettuce, you have some bhaji, some tomatoes and things like that, you have a little bit of mushy area and you have some dasheen bush growing there. Are we good with that? Long ago, persons who would partake of meat and so on, they have their own common fall running around and all of that. Yes? So they recognized at that point, but from a different perspective, the benefit of eating what you grow. We moved away from that because of the influence of North America and Europe. But guess what? You know what's the big fad now in those places? Organic foods. So organic shops are now the rage. Free range this and organic that and organic the other. But that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been taught to do. But we just got moved away from our moorings into a more attractive place. And so therefore it's incumbent upon us, if we have our backyard garden, that we try not to use those pesticides and those weedicides and stuff like that. That little things that we could do, because we ask and we say, well, how does that impact upon things like global warming and climate change? It does. There is an inextricable link. And any student who's done geography would recognize it. And therefore it's important for us to live in harmony with our environment and to do those things that preserve our environment. And we have very wonderful examples for us each and every day. Uncle Ajoda sat this morning with Auntie Sandra in celebration of his birthday that took place on Thursday. So give him a round of applause. And they performed puja. And 99% of the things that are on the bedi that were used to perform puja came from the soil, will return to the soil, and will do so without causing any harm. They're all biodegradable, and that's why we've made the point. Even the kalsa and parai and deer that you use, you see how it's plain clay? All of that decorative things that people like to buy at the puja stores, tell the vendors at the puja stores, no thank you. Seek a supplier who is giving me the plain ones and I will buy those from you. We don't have the plastic bamboo, we have the real deal. Right? So avoid things like that. And those are the examples that we have on a daily basis in terms of being aware of the message of Sadhguru and recognizing the bond that we have with our environment. We're having another great one coming up, Ganesh Utsav. And for Ganesh Utsav, we had the choice. We did so many years ago, right, Mukesh? We could have brought a murti made out of plaster Paris and everything else that looked spectacular, looked like Ganesh Ji himself. Or we could have recognized that, you know what, let us go for the clay version that is handcrafted using things from the soil. And that is the version we have made the effort to go to and to have persevered with, notwithstanding all of the commercialization. So Ganesh Utsav has become commercialized to the point where everybody in every nook and cranny, in every household, having a Ganesh Murti, and nothing is wrong with that. That's beautiful. I encourage it. but what type of Ganesh Murti? Is it one that comes from the soil and can return to the soil without harming the soil? Or is it another kind? And if it's another kind, then become aware and move away from that form. And by simple economics, supply and demand, if you don't demand it, they will not manufacture to supply it. So we have that power. Every one of us in our patterns of consumption and consumerism have that power. We parcel parsat today. Don't tell me what kind of bag we use, right? Think about what types of bags we use. Does it come from the soil? Can it be returned to the soil without harming the environment? We have food containers. For Ganesh Utsav, we will be having refreshments. What kind of containers are we using? Are they ones that come from the soil and can be returned to the soil? It might be a little more expensive because of supply and demand, but if there's a greater demand for it, then the suppliers will come on stream and we will even out. The Choka Fest, or Choka Fest, all those deliberating, myself included, on the containers to be used. What type of containers are we using? So these are things that we can think about in our awareness, and we do so at a Mandir level. We've tried and persevered with the recycling. We've done things to bring about that kind of change. What do we do in our homes? Young ones, when you leave your room, do you leave the lights on? Don't answer. Do we leave the air condition running all the time? Don't answer. Do I leave the television and the radio running like white noise in the back there? Don't answer. Do I waste water? Don't answer. So we ask ourselves, what can we do? These are the little measures and steps that we all can do to make a difference. I always use the example of one gentleman that I started doing puja for several years ago. I started doing that when the late Dharmachar, who was his Guruji and Pandit, passed away. And he asked me and I went. And I was so impressed that when it came time to plant the jhandi outside, his bedi and everything extremely friendly to the environment. I won't go into the details. But just as an example, you know how hard it is to get bamboo now? Uncle Jody will tell you how hard it was to get one today, right? They're selling the other kinds in the puja store and thing too. Don't buy them. When it came time to offering his jhandi, he had a supari tree. And he tied that jhandi on the supari tree. And I thought, if that's not as environmentally friendly that you will get, I don't know what is. I'm not telling you all to go plant a supari tree to put your jhandi on, but I'm just saying that the awareness is there. And we need to grow that awareness so that we ourselves, in our little steps and so on, could recognize that great and powerful message of Sadguru, so that he won't be a sad guru, but he will be one who is very much achieving the desired objective. And it's not for himself, you know. It's for us and for future generations. Because climate change, global warming, all of the things, rising sea levels, coastal erosion, all of those things are linked starting there. It starts from there. And so that bond that we must have, Raksha Bandhan, speak about bond of protection, is not only a physical bond that we must engender with our physical relations. It must be a spiritual bond and a bond with Bhagwan in all of his elements. So that's why we repeatedly say, don't pollute. Don't throw things out your window. Don't pollute the waters. Don't pollute the atmosphere. Do things that are interdependent with your surroundings and circumstances in a positive way. And so, brothers and sisters, this morning, I'm sorry I've taken up so much time, but I thought that the message was important. So when we celebrate Raksha Bandhan on Thursday, let us recognize that by tying that Rakhi on my brother, I'm recognizing the value of that relationship. I am affording and seeking protection. Each other is doing that. But in the same way, let me be reminded that there are also greater relationships. That relationship with God, and God exists in everything, including those elements that make up this physical body and the elements in which we exist in this world. And there's so much beauty in everything that we do in Sanatana's tradition. When an Anteshti Sanskar is performed, we ever thought about why the Pinda and what is the importance of the Pinda and the performance of that? It has to do with the returning to the elements. I mean, there are other explanations, but I'm just giving a simple one. And so we must always be reminded of our link and our nexus with God, not some abstract thing, but something that we depend on, that we relate to, that we are interdependent on a daily basis. And so for us, I want us to spread that message. Firstly, to become aware of the message, to spread the message, and then most importantly, to further the objective by our practices. And that is the most important thing that we can do. That is the most important gift we can give. Prem Svalumapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. So I want to now hand over to the members of the group, invite you to come forward to perform your arti. The gloves that you use are biodegradable, just by the way, so that they are not harmful to the environment. As you come forward, please put on the gloves, perform your arti, and then as you return, dispose of the gloves and sanitize before seating. So I invite you all to come forward now.
नाचे भोला नाचे भोलानाथ। नाचे भोलानाथ।
धिमिक धिमिक धिम धिमिक धिमिक धिम नाचे भोलानाथ।
केशवा माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना।
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 नेत्र कमल दल अतिव मनोहर।
नित्य कमल धर अतीव मनोहर।
नेत्र कमल दल अतिव मनोहर।
नित्य कमल धर अतीव मनोहर।
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर।
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वरा।
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर।
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर।
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर।
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 माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर। देवा मधुसूदना जय देवा मधुसूदना। जय देवा मधुसूदना। जय देवा मधुसूदना।
केशवा माधवा 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 जय देवा मधुसूदना।
नेत्र कमल दल अतिव मनोहर।
नित्य कमल धर अतीव मनोहर।
नेत्र कमल दल अतीव मनोहर
नित्य कमल धर अतीव मनोहर
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर देवा मधुसूदना जय देवा मधुसूदना जय देवा मधुसूदना जय देवा मधुसूदना
केशवा
माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना केशवा माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना
केशवा माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना
केशवा माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना
नेत्र कमल दल अतीव मनोहर
वेद कमल धर अतीव मनोहर
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर
अंतर्यामी प्रभु परमेश्वर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर
माया मानुष विष लीलाधर
माया मानुष वेश लीलाधर
देवा मधुसूदना
जय देवा मधुसूदना
केशवा
माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना केशवा माधवा जय देवा मधुसूदना
जय देवा मधुसूदना
जय देवा मधुसूदना
We'll have one final bhajan or chant.
शम्भो शङ्कर देवा शम्भो शङ्कर देवा शम्भो शङ्कर देवा शम्भो शङ्कर देवा भोले बाबा महादेवा
भोले बाबा महादेवा हर हर गंगे महादेवा
ओम 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 हर हर गंगे महादेवा
भोले बाबा महादेवा
भोले बाबा महादेवा
साई बाबा महादेवा
साई बाबा महादेवा
शंभो शंकर देवा
शंभो शंकर देवा
शंभो शंकर देवा
शंभो शंकर देवा
भोले बाबा महादेवा साई बाबा महादेवा
प्रेम से बोले महापति महादेव की जय. So before we stand for Arati, a couple announcements. So once more, and a warm welcome is extended to each and every one of you. I see some faces that we haven't seen for some time, and we want to extend a very warm welcome to each of you. Look forward to seeing you with us each and every week from 8:30 to 10 a.m. And those of you who, for whatever reason, cannot make it face-to-face, to view us online on YouTube or on Facebook. We're also inviting those of you who would like to sit to perform puja or hawan on a Sunday morning to give your names to Mrs. Rama Umrao or to Mr. Gangadin Sinanan so that arrangements can be made and that you could sit as Uncle Ajoda did this morning. We want to also again, once more, extend birthday greetings belatedly to Uncle Ajoda, to Auntie Shanti and to Vasudha, who all celebrated their birthday, and for anybody else who celebrated their birthday the week gone by, or anniversaries or any significant occasion. There was a young man, I'll reserve my congratulations to him, who was very, very successful, but he's not here this morning, so I will not, in his absence, relay any of that information. I'm sure I will see him next week, and we will then share the good news that he has enjoyed with everyone else. Upcoming events, please be reminded that yoga class will take place tomorrow evening after a little bit of a break from 5:30 in the afternoon upstairs of the annex. So those of you who are interested, you are please invited to attend. Just walk with your yoga mat and comfortable clothing and come in at 5:30. You have a very experienced and a very wonderful teacher, our own Maldev Maharaj, and he will guide us through the steps of through the yoga class. You're also reminded as well, members of management committee, that there will be a management committee meeting immediately after service, so please stay behind for that meeting. Upcoming events now that I want to share with you all. Firstly, we've been invited, or persons have been invited, those who are alumni of the Gandhi College, the Gandhi Ashram College that existed here many years ago, or who were students or disciples of the late Professor Bhattacharya. They're his students and group and so on, and the alumni are having a reunion on the 27th of this month from 2 p.m. And so you are invited to attend. It's right at the annex on the 27th of this month from 2 p.m. So if you know anybody who would have enjoyed that, I think Uncle Lachman may have been associated as well, so you be aware. It's being organized by Mr. Madhu Tilakchan and members of his group, so at the 27th of August. On the 18th of August, as you're aware, Thursday, the 18th of August, we observe Krishna Janmashtami. And our celebrations will commence at 8 p.m. With bhajan, kirtan, and a pravachan. And then we will move into the puja and palana puja and charhawing. We will not await the midnight hour to commence that, because I know persons are a little concerned with security and safety and so on. So we will begin the offerings a little before that. But the actual program and the actual service will begin at 8 p.m. on the night of Thursday, the 18th of August. So you're all invited to attend. Bring your prasad, your flowers and so on. Come prepared to perform your puja, and that will take place on then. Following that, on the 28th of August, we will in earnest be setting things in motion for our Ganesh Utsav celebration. As you know, Gauri Mata Puja was already performed. So on the 28th of August, Sunday, the 28th of August, we're looking to have the Murti of Ganesh Ji brought to the Mandir via procession, as we traditionally would have done. So that the Murti will be brought here, and the Pran Pratishta will be performed at 10 a.m. on the 30th of August. That's the puja. The Pran Pratishta puja will be performed on the 30th of August at 10 a.m. and you're all invited to attend. I know it's a working day, but if you have the ability to, please come and join with us. And thereafter, from the 31st of August, which happens to be Independence Day, and this year is a very auspicious year, it's the 60th anniversary, and celebrations are taking place throughout. So we will be treated to fireworks while we are performing puja. So on every evening from 6 p.m., we will be having evening puja, and you're all invited to come. If you want to charhawe, you can bring your prasad, bring your flowers and so on. If you can't do that, then please just come. And that will last for just about an hour, from 6 to 7 or thereabouts each evening, from the 31st straight on to the 5th of September. From the 6th of September, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, those 3 evenings, we will be having yagya, and Pandit Devendra Rampasad will be officiating as Ovyas for those 3 nights. Puja will commence for those persons who are sitting to perform puja from 5:30, except for the first night, it will be earlier. And the pravachan will be from 7, and we hope to end by 8:30 every evening. Arrangements for refreshments are being put in place, and it will very likely be done in a takeaway fashion, so that we are again trying to be very cautious given the pandemic that is around us. And please do not mistake the relaxation of the mask mandates and other things. COVID is still very much here. Persons are still getting it. Persons are tragically still dying. And therefore, please continue to exercise all of the precautions that you do in the Mandir elsewhere as well. Okay, so we're trying to mitigate those situations. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th will be our 3 nights of yagya. The morning of the 9th at 10 a.m. we will commence our Visarjan ceremony. So we are not likely to have any overnight vigil or jagran from the 8th to the 9th, but we will recommence on the morning of the 9th, and we will engage in the Visarjan right here at the Mandir. Again, because of circumstances that exist at Flat Rock and at Mosquito Creek, we can't go there, so we will do the Visarjan here, and then the Murti will be immersed in the sea thereafter by a couple persons. So that will be the chain of events that we're looking at in the celebration of Ganesh Utsav. And we invite you all to be mindful of those dates and times, and to please extend the invitation. As we said this morning, increase the awareness, please, of persons, and let them come out in a safe environment and perform puja together collectively as we strengthen each other and as we strengthen our relationship with God. Finally, a few persons were given some very special packages this morning, including myself, and that is the Mandir is having a very much needed fundraiser. It will be on the 26th of October. I'm correct with the date? No, sorry. I'm mixing up the date. 9th of October, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm mixing it up with the other one. 9th of October, Sunday the 9th of October, and it is in the form of a breakfast takeaway, where you will be treated to several takaris. I myself am making some of them, so you have no need to worry. And Uncle Ajoda is helping me make all of the roti. So we are having sada and some break and so on, and it is in that format. And you are getting value from the money. I've seen the extent of what you're getting, so that ticket could actually feed a small army. So please patronize, because we do need the funds to continue meeting our recurrent expenditure here at the Mandir. There are bills that continue whether we're in lockdown or not, whether we have 10 people, 1 person, or 100 people. There are certain expenses that we have to meet monthly, and you would appreciate that we have not been able to derive revenue based upon attendance and normal donations and so on for the past couple of years. So we do need to have this, in addition to which you would have noticed, particularly those of you viewing online, the enhanced videography that you get, and it's not only from the 3 dedicated technicians, but it's also as a result of the equipment that we've had to purchase, and we still need to purchase, and a lot of that requirement funding that we had was devoted to that, and through the donations of others. There are a couple pieces of equipment just to bring this to fruition, and that particularly are the cameras. As you know, right now we are using some borrowed cameras from generous donors, but they are approaching the end of their lifespan, and we need to replace those. The cost of one camera we've gotten the costing yesterday, and this is after months of looking around, trying to find the best deal and so on, is roughly about $1,200 US. Now those cameras will be fixed and they will not be moving around like this, so therefore you won't have cords and all of those things. And they will give you an enhanced image, but they will also allow for a better functioning of the system. So it's $1,200 US per camera. We need two. We may not be able to purchase the two at one time, but whatever donations we get, we are looking towards acquiring that, and that will bring an end to our equipment required for our streaming. So those of you looking online, you will see on the ticker tape our account that you can make those donations to. Those of you who are here face-to-face and would like to contribute to that, you're most welcome to do so, or also by patronizing this fundraising event. Some of those proceeds will go towards that. Some of the proceeds will go towards meeting our expenses, and some of those proceeds will go towards our charitable initiatives, which we do regularly, but in a very low-key way in terms of how we assist persons who are in need. So that's really where the funds from fundraisers go to, and we therefore require your patronage. So we are appealing to you to please patronize those tickets. If you are looking for tickets and you haven't been blessed with the package, please see Mr. Sinanan. I'm sure we all know him. Gangadin, just raise your hand. Look to the back. Don't be blinded by the glare. And there you go. That's Mr. Sinanan. I'm talking about the sun coming through the window. I don't know what all you're talking about. Right, so please patronize the tickets that way. Finally, those of you sitting to the front, you will see, without being asked, there was a very generous devotee of the Mandir who saw the need for a little bit of furniture here, which we now have at the front. In the past, we used to use a stool and put the gloves and all of those things on. When people brought prasad or their flowers and things, it would have been on a table, one of those plastic tables. And this very kind devotee saw the need for something that comes with a cupboard so we could store things from the Bedi there as well, very closely. And it was handcrafted by the devotee himself at his own expense and donation, and he brought it here. The head is shaking, so he's telling me don't call his name. So I will just say a very kind, very blessed devotee, very talented devotee, and we want to thank him and his family. Please extend a round of applause. By request, I'm not sharing his name because I was told by his wife that if I share his name, then he will have orders from everybody and he will not have time for the family. So I'm not sharing the name. All right. Thank you all very much for your attention. I hope I've not taken too much time. Again, management members meeting right after service. Did I miss anything? No? Right. Can we please stand for final arati and closing prayer? I'll invite Uncle Joda and Auntie Sandra forward.
सत्य नारायण स्वामी हमारी दुख हरो बेड़ा पार करो बेड़ा पार करो तुम हो देव दया के सागर अब अजर अमर अविचल अविनाशी घट घट के वासी प्रभु तुम घट घट के वासी जन्म जन्म से तुम्हारे दर्श की अखिया है प्यासी प्रभु जी अखिया है प्यासी सत्य सनातन परम ब्रह्म हरि हम पर कृपा करो बेड़ा पार करो बेड़ा पार करो सतानंद ब्राह्मण के प्रभु जी तुम्हारे कष्ट हरे प्रभु जी तुम्हारे कष्ट हरे लखना हारे भिल के तुम्हारे कारज सिद्ध
करो। साधु वैश्य के बंधन काटे, सुख संपत्ति दीनी। प्रभु जी सुख संपत्ति दीनी। उलखा मुख राजा पर तुमने बड़ी कृपा कीनी। प्रभु जी बड़ी कृपा कीनी। भूर भले हम तुम्हारे स्वामी, बिनती ध्यान धरो। तेरा पार करो, तेरा पार करो। हे सत्य नारायण स्वामी, हमरे दुख हरो। तेरा पार करो, तेरा पार करो। तुम हो देव दया के सागर, अब उद्धार करो। तेरा पार करो, तेरा पार करो। तेरा पार करो, तेरा पार करो।
हरि Om. We clasp our hands, close our eyes, and bow heads in prayer, giving thanks to Bhagwan for the opportunity to come to offer puja to Him, to offer our love to Him, to offer our devotion, to seek His continued blessing, guidance, and inspiration, to protect us, to protect our families, and indeed to protect all of humanity. We pray this morning, O Prabhu, that you would shower your blessings of those persons who are ill, those persons who are afflicted in some way, to give them that strength and that courage to continue on. Let us all become aware of your presence in each and everything around us, to treasure our environment and to make those decisions that will protect our environment and by extension ourselves. For you are mother, you are father, you are family, you are friend, you are knowledge, you are wealth, you are everything to us. We surrender ourselves to you. We join together now in closing mantra. Hari Om. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Cha Sika Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Sato Ma Sadgamayam Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamayam Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय, श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय, प्रेम से बोले श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय. Turn to those around you. सब कोई जय सीताराम, जय सीताराम, जय सीताराम. We look forward to seeing you all again with us next Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Jai Sitaram. Have a very powerful, very productive, and very safe week ahead.
बार बार दिल ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, बार बार दिल ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, तुझे हजारों साल ये मेरी है आरज़ू. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.